this computer. Salutations and shit, motherfuckers. Welcome back to another episode of Travel and Shit. I'm your host, Dee Carey, and you are listening to your new favorite travel podcast where we have a conversation more on the experience of travel versus the destination. I am your host, Dee Carey. Did I say that? I feel like I might have said that. Welcome, y'all. So, no actual updates that I can remember. Binksy, are you good on your updates? Great. So jumping right in, because all that fluff in the beginning tends to get on my nerves too, y'all. This week, again, I have another lovely guest. And so guest, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Hello, my name is Stephanie Perry. I am a house sitter, and yes, that's a real thing. And I'm from Delaware. I'm right now kind of like self-quarantined in Dover, Delaware, but I house sit around the world and I help other women, other Black women do the same thing.
So how, pray tell, did you get into this? Not just the house sitting. Okay, let's start with what was your travel style before you became a house sitter?
Before, I was like just a vacationer. You know, I would take short vacations from work whenever they would approve my days off. You know, I was at their mercy. And I would go places and like stay on the resort or stay, you know, in the tourist area and then come back home.
Were you a solo travel? Did you do mostly family travel, vacations, and then also are you a resort or an Airbnb traveler?
I used to do mostly, well, I guess I did a lot of solo travel, but I did some friends trips too.
Okay.
Back then when it was shorter. It's a lot easier to take friends trips when you have like a specific date and everybody can agree on a date. And we would stay in hotels and stuff. Airbnb, it was kind of new to me when I started long-term travel, you know.
Okay. So I'm familiar with your house sitting and I don't need, but give the intro because it's kind of like when you know if you're watching like a trilogy and you've watched the first two movies, but you're watching the third one with somebody else and they're like, I don't get it. So go ahead and explain what exactly your house sitting is and how you got into house sitting.
House sitting means that you can work less and travel more. So if you're looking for a way to, instead of having your life revolve around your work, you know, and then you just do things that you want to do in the crevices. If instead you want to build your life around the things that you want to do and then just work when you have to, which is basically what I do, then house sitting is a great option. It doesn't matter if you want to bop around the country or bop around the world, or if you just want to stay in your city or your state, you know. House sitting is just staying. A lot of people house sit locally. House sitting is just staying in someone's home while they're away, taking care of their plants, maybe their pets, you know, making sure nobody breaks in and no thieves break in and no fire breaks out. That's what I used to always say at my church. And, you know, taking care of things while someone else is gone. That's it. Some house sits are paid, some house sits are unpaid. It depends on what, you know, how good you are at negotiating and how you came across the house sit. But it just means that you don't have to pay for a place to stay. Whether you're house sitting for somebody for a month or 6 months, you are staying for free.
Now, how did you get into this? Do you do this while working full-time at like your typical 9 to 5, or did you leave a 9 to 5 behind and then decide to house sit?
I've been quit my job. I had a 9 to 5 back in 2015, and I really wanted to take an awesome vacation. Actually, it was 2014. I wanted to take an awesome vacation, and they just wouldn't give me all the days. And I was like, oh, okay, well, instead I quit. How about that? You know what I mean? Like, how about this? I quit and now I travel full time. I traveled for a year just on savings. Before I knew about house sitting, I did know about staying in hostels and stuff. So I stayed, you know, pretty inexpensively in Southeast Asia for a year just on money that I had saved. And then I came back and went back to work. I got rehired. And the same, well, So the same hospital offered me my job, but I took a job at a different hospital because I already knew I was going to leave and I didn't want to burn the same people twice.
Okay.
So, but
Okay.
I did, but they did offer me my, yeah. I thought maybe I should spread it around a little bit, but they did offer me my job back. But yeah, so then I was like, I came back to work and I was like, this isn't for me. I don't want to do this. I've already seen what it's like for other people. There are people around the world who just get months of time to travel, like the Germans, they seem to have unlimited vacation time. You see them everywhere. Germans, Australians, you see them everywhere. They get big blocks of time. They don't understand why you're only traveling for 5 days or 6 days. And it's because they just haven't built their life around work.
Right.
Work is just a piece. It's not everything. Here in the US, we're just told that we are here to work. And we see that now. Everybody, not everybody, but people are more concerned with getting everybody back to work than they are with making sure more people live.
Right.
And I saw
the sad case of capitalism and just not being, well, I don't really think that has anything to do with solidarity and the train of thought that I'm going to, but yeah, I can absolutely see that, especially with this whole Corona open up. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's heartless. But these other countries are capitalist too. It's more than that. Mm-hmm. It's more than that. It's slavery. It's you are still a slave. I don't care, doesn't matter what year this is. People still have the mindset that we are here to work only. We are still a slave because Germany's capitalist and Austria, these people, but they take more pleasure from a full, well-rounded life, not just what can you contribute? What can you contribute? How much did you make? How much did you produce?
In some places you go and where they have like their businesses just close earlier so people can go home and enjoy their time with their families. And then also siestas where, their lunch break is kind of like 3 hours. So if you're going to need something, I suggest you buy your meal now because you're good for like 3 hours and then it's like dinner time. So they'll have an extended gap between whatever they serve for like lunch or like a brunch kind of menu. And then they come back around 8 p.m. or whatever and do their, dinner /
dinner
kind of stuff. Those, if you're traveling places, you might want to take heed of that so you don't get fucked up and are hungry because you decided to skip breakfast or something and you can't eat till 8 o'clock at night.
Buy snacks. You're going to need snacks because dinner is not starting until 8 p.m.
I'm almost ready for bed in most cases by then. So what I want people to, so let me start with, or I guess go back to why I absolutely wanted to have you on the podcast. I think that a lot of people, and I being one of those people, was kind of under the misconception that unless you get that whole travel bug out of your system when you're young and in college and either do the study abroad or you do the gap year, that you're kind of left to doing vacations when your job tells you to. And then most corporate or most jobs give you like the 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks if you're lucky. Or, if you get a union job or you work for a company that just for some reason ends up giving you more time, or you've been with a company for enough time that you've accrued more time, whatever your case may be is, you're still, like you said earlier, at the mercy of your employer to give you the time off. Now, I have heard of a sabbatical. Mm-hmm. However, in my mind, I've also kind of plotted out how or what reason I'm going to give to my job to say, hey, cool story. I need some time. I need a break. If you could take a second and explain to the audience what a sabbatical actually is, because I think that it's a grown-up, if you will, I'd say attempt, because not all jobs will give it to you, but it's a grown-up, what's the word? It's right here. Opportunity, if you will, to take that time and do some traveling.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Formally, a sabbatical is paid time off of work. A lot of educators, like universities, give professors sabbatical time to work on other stuff or to do projects or to publish, to do, I even interviewed a woman on my YouTube channel who they gave her a sabbatical to write her thesis. She was already teaching at the university. They paid her to take time to write her thesis, right? But and then there are employers out there who will give you paid time off just for your own personal edification, because you come back stronger. You come back rested, energized, you come back a better employee. Mm-hmm. But if your employer does not offer a sabbatical, you can still kind of force it in a way. Some do offer leave of absences. Most of those are unpaid. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you can always just quit, which is what I did. A lot of, I worked in healthcare. A hospital wasn't going to give me time off. I was a pharmacy technician. The hospital wasn't going to give me time off, but I knew if I left, I could come back.
Okay. So I misspoke. My job ain't giving me no damn sabbatical, but it's technically, it would be a leave of absence. Uh-huh. Do you know how someone, because I think that with people being home from work right now, some of them are seeing that they absolutely do have remote working capabilities, whether or not their job offered it to them. They may be seeing now that, hey, I do X for this company. I can actually do this as a business venture on my own and offer these services to other people. So, working remotely is now an option for some people, but then other people are seeing how, wow, I'm not miserable anymore since I'm not going into said job, and may want to look into the option of having a leave of absence or a sabbatical. So how would you suggest someone look into whether or not that's an option for them at their job?
Talk to HR and read your manual. Like, don't just rely on the HR representative. Read your manual, know for yourself what your options are, and then talk to management. Things can be negotiated, whether or not it's already listed out that this is a benefit or a bonus that you have as an employee there. Things can be negotiated. You never know if you don't ask.
Right.
You already know that you already know that the other alternative is I'll just go. So what's the harm in asking and negotiating that into your contract? You can do it even after the fact, even after your contract is signed. Hopefully you do it before your contract is signed. But even after your contract is signed, you can negotiate things with your employer. Some employers are really open to the idea. Some take mental health very seriously and, personal time very seriously, and employee retention, because people who take sabbaticals stay longer. But there are employers who, as we already know, don't care. Don't care. So everybody's got to decide for themselves how much they want to do it, how far they're willing to go. But don't just assume because your HR rep says no, that's not a thing. Don't just assume that it's not going to happen for you.
That's a good point, because I feel like a lot of, we all know people that have been hired not because they're qualified, but because they know someone. And then also, if it's not something that is in the culture of your job or in your line of work, then they just may not be familiar with all of the ins and outs, not because they're trying to stop your shine or because they personally dislike you. It just may be something that somebody has to do more digging to actually see what your options are. So if you've gotten to the point where you decide that, okay, some type of space, whether it be a sabbatical, a leave of absence, or quitting altogether is an option for you, in your experience, what's something that you wish you would have known when you were taking that plunge that you've found from your experience along the way?
I wish I had known, this is not tangible, but I wish I had known that more people were doing it,
Yes.
That it didn't mean that I was crazy or lazy or any of that stuff. I wish I had known that this is a legitimate way to live and work, and I wish I had known about certain, I wish I had known that there were more options, more alternatives than just traveling on savings in the beginning. Because in the beginning, all I knew was just go until your money runs out and then go back to work, and then repeat, rinse and repeat. So I wish I had known that there were more options out there.
Could you speak more to that in terms of the not only traveling on savings? Like, what kind of things do you mean?
This is an amazing time to try to see the world, because not like this month, but like this time in the world, because so many people don't have to go to work to have a job. So if you're talking about working remotely, there's so many places in the world where you can live perfectly fine on $40 a day. And if you want to ball out, $50 or $60 a day is really all you need to make. Like, imagine how free you can be, how much time you can have to yourself, how much other stuff you can do or achieve, or how much rest you can get if you only need to make $60 a day, So
30 is 1,500, y'all. I don't do the numbers, ain't my
that's
pull up the calculator real quick. That's $1,500 a day. A lot of people make that in 2 weeks. If that's your take home, like, you only imagine being able to live comfortably by cutting your monthly income in half. You know what I mean? Or if that's all you have to make for the month. Like, I hope that you understand that that's what Stephanie's point is. Like, you can live comfortably in these countries. Go right ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's just a great time to be out there. There are a lot of people sharing information, letting you know exactly what they pay, exactly what it looks like. Get yourself on YouTube, seriously, and they will get you addicted. They'll have you out the door before you know it, because people are showing you what their home looks like, how much they're paying. People paying $300 a month for a high rise, high rise apartment.
And this is house sitting?
This is just to pay, renting your own place. Like in Malaysia, you can rent a really nice place for, $500 a month, probably. Actually, I have a list, excuse me, on my website. I have a list of places where you can Airbnb for $500 a month, but we need to do a search on places where you can rent for $500 a month. Yeah. So, and then if you're talking about house sitting, like, I have had months in Mexico. I like to house sit in Mexico. It's my thing. I love it there. And I like tacos and tequila and churros, I'm happy. So I've house sat in Mexico and spent less than $300 for a whole month, just because I don't have to pay for a place to stay. Sometimes they stock the refrigerator a little bit before you go. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just hanging out,
Right.
So once you know that, I think when people think about traveling full time, they just think about the money compared to how much, or they think about what they spend here every month, and they're going to need to have that every month to travel full time. Absolutely not. A lot of the world is so much less expensive and so much easier to move around in, so much cheaper to fly from place to place. Yes. Here, you get so spoiled when you go to like Asia, and then you come back here and you're like, oh, I'm just going to fly to Memphis. Like, my mom and I went to Memphis last year, and I was like, why are these tickets so expensive? You can get from Manila in the Philippines to Chiang Mai, Thailand for $80. Why am I paying so much?
Absolutely. I feel like this opens up. Now, this may sound condescending, but it's not my intention. I think that this, at least for me, opens up a lot more of an adult lens on travel, only because, now mind you, I'm a new traveler. I didn't leave the country until I was 30. So all the traveling that I've done, I've kind of crammed into the last 4 years. And so a lot of this stuff I'm still figuring out as I go. And for me, that's exciting, just because it's easier. It just requires a little less preparation. You just balls to the wall and jump all the way in. But I think that the main thing that held me back in terms of traveling in general was just the idea that you needed so much in order to start out. And I think when you had mentioned just the not seeing it and not knowing how many other people were doing it was really kind of like I wish I'd known that. One, it just gives you more resources. You're able to reach out to people and learn from other people's mistakes, and then also learn from other people's wins. It gets you further down, or, gives you an extra lap around the track, if you will, with, somebody else's alley-oop. I didn't know that I didn't need a travel agent or, to spend $1,500 on, this incredible upscale, excuse me, resort. Because initially all I was seeing was resort travel or backpacking. So you could either live a luxurious life or just like sleep in the dirt and like eat churros and street food for the entire time. There's a middle ground. You can stay at an Airbnb, or you can stay at a hostel, because of course my whole idea of hostels was TV, movies, and you're gonna die. That was it. But once you're opened up to so many more possibilities, I feel like, especially us as people of color, I will definitely, for myself, give that to social media and the internet, because before then it was just hearing other people's stories. And then in college, it was looking at I'll never forget, and this is just my lack of knowing, that I'd seen the post for study abroad, but I just assumed it was just going to be ridiculous. It was going to be so much paperwork that I didn't want to do. And I talked myself out of that opportunity. And now as an adult, study abroad isn't an option, but digital nomad life absolutely is. And I know that when I'm booking my trips, one of the major expenses that I run into is, of course, accommodations. Once I get there, to spend like, okay, I spent $500 on this flight. Great. Now how much do I want to spend to stay here? And if you can totally cut that out by offering a service, all that money is fun money. You can spend the money that you could, I could upgrade to business class. I don't know about first class. But you can even update your flight. So what other options do you find work best for you in terms of sustaining an income while you're abroad?
I am a virtual assistant, so I work a little bit. I have clients that I do work for, and they pay me, and then I hope that I don't have to hear from them for a couple more weeks, so I have some time to not work, But I've also I've also done work exchanges in exchange for free room and board.
What's that? What do you mean?
So there are sites, Workaway, HelpX, Woof, right, are three of the main sites I know of, where people just say, hey, I need somebody to come to my house or to my business and do this for me for this amount of time. In exchange, I'll give them free room and board. I did part-time nanny work. Like for a full-time nanny, you should get paid. I would not recommend anybody do nanny work just in exchange for free room and board. But I did part-time. My job, I went to Australia, which is a very expensive place, crazy expensive. Like, why do people live here? It's that kind of expensive. And I got free room and board. They fed me and gave me a place to stay. And all I had to do was get the two kids up, dressed, ready for school, feed them breakfast, pack the lunch, and then drive the carpool to school. The rest of the day was mine. They gave me the car to use, Yeah, and they had a beautiful home. I had my own room. They had a pool. It wasn't summertime there, but they had a pool if I had timed it right. But there are work exchanges where you work for 4 or 5 hours a day, and they give you room and board. They give you a place to stay, and they give you your meals. That's a great alternative if you're the kind of person who wants to meet people, because it can get kind of lonely doing, if you're not used to solo travel, or even if you are used to solo travel, it can get lonely.
Yeah.
Work exchanges are wonderful. There are work exchanges for any type of skill that someone could have. There are work exchanges for photographers and web designers and farmers and painters and whatever.
So what have you found to be a noticeable difference in your experience, and in the sense of when you traveled for vacation, if you will, versus when traveling became more of a lifestyle for you? Because now that you're able to sustain yourself while you travel, how do you feel that you experience yourself, or you experience your time away differently?
Let me tell you, I didn't start long-term travel to get to know myself. Like I wasn't on like a quest to find myself. I didn't think, but man, if it didn't happen that way, if I didn't find out, I'm like, there's so much stuff about me I did not know. I didn't know that I like meeting new people. I'm kind of like a hermit, and I like to stay to myself, and I like, a lot of quiet time. I need a lot of quiet time in my life. But I really like talking to strangers. And I just didn't know it because my life has been set up to fit the environment that I was in, not new environments. Right. Turns out I like walking down the street and people stopping me, especially when I don't have any place to go, any place to be. I've had women stop me. I had a woman come up to me in the mall and invite me to eat with her in the Philippines. Let me tell you, being a Black woman in some places where you stand out, you think it would be a negative, but man, it's a positive. So she walked up to me, she said, hi, I'm a retired school teacher. I used to teach in New Jersey. are you American? Yes, I said, and then and I'm from Delaware, which is the neighboring state. We sat and talked for a few minutes. She said, I'm going to have lunch at my favorite restaurant. No, she didn't. She said, have you heard of recipes? And I didn't know what she was talking about. She said, come with me. Next thing I know, we're standing in front of the restaurant in the mall. We sit down. She ordered a table full of food so I could try all these Filipino dishes. And sat and talked. We're Facebook friends even still now. Like the idea that I like things that I didn't even know I liked, right? I want to do things that I didn't even know I was interested in.
Right.
Just because I've taken time to move more slowly and just let things come to me and see. And then I can say, yes, I like this. No, I don't like this. Yes, I want to try this again. No, I don't want to try this again. I thought travel you had to leave exhausted. You know, when you take a vacation, you come back to work, you're tired. Right? I didn't really know. I knew that they tell you that travel is rejuvenating, but 5-day vacations are pretty exhausting.
Yeah, because you try to do so much in such a short amount of time. I know, well, for me, I do the most, and I try to optimize my time in these places because I only have a limited amount of time. And in my mind, I don't really enjoy the idea of going back someplace I've been. So Monday this, Tuesday this, break on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right before the flight, can I manage anything? And that's how you come back and you're like,
worn out. Worn out.
Yeah.
But it turns out it doesn't have to be like that. You know, you can take more time, enjoy places. I've been to cities where like the top tourist attractions, I haven't even seen them. I'm like, not interested. I just came back from a house sit in Austin, and everybody was like, every time I took an Uber and I met up with a girlfriend down there, and every time I went somewhere, they would list off places I need to go. I didn't see any of them. I was just perfectly fine. I just want to eat some barbecue. And
that's what I'm
chill. That's it. Barbecue and chill was all that was on my list. And I didn't know until I started traveling more slowly that, you know, that you can actually feel revived and regenerated in these new environments instead of just drained and worn out. You know?
And I think that that's one of the things that I don't want to say worries me about it, but the difference between traveling for a week at a time versus traveling for 2 months at a time, or even 2-3 weeks at a time. I've never had, until now, until Corona, I've never had a long-term vacation. Now the difference is I'm still home, I'm sitting in my house. But what was your experience like the first or the beginning of that extended amount of time traveling? Was that something you had to adapt to? Because I don't get homesick when I go for a week. I know I'm coming back to my dog in a couple of days, but I wonder what that's like when you go away for a month or longer at a time. What was that like for you?
It took me a while to slow down. So in the beginning, I was like 2 days here, 2 days here, 2 days there. So it took me a while to get into the mindset, oh, you know, this is my life. Like, this isn't just a vacation. Same thing with eating, by the way. When I'm traveling, I'm like, oh, this isn't like a vacation. I have to like eat with a purpose. You know, I can't just eat everything all the time. So I'm still learning that lesson. So it took me a while to get into the slow mode. I didn't really have too much homesickness. Yeah, but it's like I said, it's a great time to do it because you can video chat with people. It feels really good. It feels really nice to video chat with your parents. I do it so much that my dad will be like, okay, bye now. So there wasn't like the worry and the, like, feeling like you're missing stuff at home, but you are missing stuff at home. So you have to find a way to navigate that, But in the beginning, it did just take me a while to realize that, hey, I'm out here for a long time. I want to enjoy every day, but I don't have to do something every day. Mm-hmm. Now, I have no problem with it, but it took a while to switch off that mode. Even working, so I never felt guilty about not going to work. I know some people do. Mm-hmm. I never felt guilty about not producing things, but I did feel like I had to like share everything. And make sure everybody knew what I was doing in the beginning.
In terms of your digital profession, or in terms of just like keeping family and friends updated with what was going on?
On social media. So I didn't have a huge, like, I didn't have like a big online presence or anything, but I just felt like if I'm not at work, I at least have to show that something's happening.
Okay.
It's kind of a weird thing. So I felt like I at least need to I went to this temple today and I needed to let everybody know that I at least did something. So that took a little while to be like, I can just be, I don't have to be doing anything. I've never been like a workaholic or anything like that. But it did still take me some time to just chill and
Okay.
relax into it. By some time, I mean like a few weeks. I don't mean all that long, but it took me a few weeks to be like, I can just do whatever I want. And then new stuff started to come into my head that would never have found its way if I hadn't taken a lot of time off. Like the whole idea of writing. I work as a freelance writer. I'm a virtual assistant and I do writing for other people. And I write some for myself. The whole idea of that never occurred to me because I was just always busy working, doing my job, that I didn't have time to think about what things interested me and what did I want to learn? What new skills did I want to pick up?
I think that how do I put this in words? I am a big proponent of doing what brings me peace, and not doing what I don't want to do. And I feel like that is one of the things that scares the ever loving shit out of me about the idea of having a family and children and stuff, because it's been just me and the dog. Barely raised this one, right? But it's just been us for so long. And I love so much not having to cook. I don't have to clean when I don't want to. I don't have to do anything that I don't want to, other than, of course, get up and go to work. And slowly but surely, for the alley-oop and all these amazing women that I'm speaking to, it's like I might not even have to do that the same way in the future. But the idea of missing out on something that brings me so much joy I don't want to say terrifies me, but I know that I love this podcast and I know that I love traveling. And ultimately, I would love to do more of the two. And I can't imagine how different my life would have been had I not discovered how much I enjoy traveling. And the idea that some people work an entire life just waking up, going to work, coming home, and either, taking care of themselves, taking care of their family. I just feel like there's so much joy left on the table. People are always worrying about money left on the table and this opportunity, and I could grind here and I could do that. Yes, that's important. We all have to have some level of currency in our lives to be able to provide for ourselves. But the idea that people are leaving the opportunity of happiness behind, it just makes me a little sad. I know how much I love it, and I want other people to have that as well. And I feel like happier people just make for happier people and better interactions just in general. I mean, at the grocery store, if you're having a bad day, you may only have the cart of eggs and the milk in your hand to go online, but because the lady in front of you had a bad day, she's not going to let you get in front of her. So now you got to wait for her to do the entire cart. You know what I mean? Just little things like that, just for a smoother kind of life interactions. And I really just think that that's a really great point, that there's so many different, not so many different opportunities, but just that opportunity to discover things that you enjoy. And you've been able to make money from it. So it's like that space that you took from a regular 9-to-5 or a secure or a safe life journey gave you the opportunity to still support yourself, to still, be able to create an income, but actually doing something that you like. Go figure. You know what I mean? It's just like you discovered talents, you discovered skills that you were able to do and able to profit from. And I really wish that so many more people could have that at their disposal. Travel.
I do too. I love the way you put that there's so much joy left on the table. That's exactly right. We're told, you know what? Sacrifice all of your youth, all of your good years when your body is strong and healthy. Then once you turn 65 or 70, then maybe you get to have fun, then maybe
retire and travel. I hear so many, especially in our community. Oh, when I retire, the kids are out the house, or I could go live, I could travel. And it's like, all right, but you could go now.
Uh-huh.
beforehand.
And
Like,
with the kids, you talked about the, having a family, but you see, when I left, I was a little bit in mourning, well, not a little bit. I was in mourning over the fact that I was 40, about to be 41, and no children.
mhm,
And so it looked like that door was closing.
right.
And when I got, and then, so what I said was, well, let me do something where I can, like turn a negative into a positive. Let's make lemonade. No, I don't have children, but yes, I'm free to travel everywhere. Then I got out there and I saw all these families out there traveling. I follow some on Instagram. I'm like, wow. I mean,
And
school age children, preschool age children, they're doing it and it works. And it's, it's amazing. Like I said, it's the perfect time. If this is something that is interesting you, anybody, it's the perfect time. It's, because you can school your kids online or you can school your kids yourself. There are states in the US, quite a few states have a K through 12 online.
yes.
And they give you a laptop. Like you don't even have to, you don't even have to supply your own supplies.
I'll help you. So it's not like you,
Uh-huh.
I had Jade and her daughter come on, and they are, I don't know if they're still traveling now with Corona.
Uh-huh.
They were traveling the country, and there are, like, they repurposed the van so that they can, see the country. And she homeschools her daughter. She is an online teacher, and it's absolutely an option. And I think that a lot of us don't necessarily see that, or at least my experience of my community, because we're not a monolith. I can't speak for all Black folk, but the people in my community, my friends, my family, who I've come in communication with, we don't really see this that often. And just knowing something is available to you, I think, takes away a lot of the boundaries to access and to growth. Like, there's so much out there that even just your mindset, just thinking, well, it might not work, but I think it's episode 37, Gabby Pax Light.
Yes.
I was just watching her TED Talk. All right, come through, TED speaker.
Uh-huh.
And she was just saying delusional confidence. There's so many opportunities, and she consistently shares these opportunities on her Instagram. So absolutely follow her. But especially if you have college age students, because she's I think she's Gen Z. What is that? 2016 to 24. I think that's her general demographic of travelers, I want to say. But so she's a great resource for them as in particular. However, so many of the opportunities that she shares have no age limit. Because when I first started looking at like scholarships and travel grants and all these things, it was like, all right, well, I ain't in college. I'm nobody's student. I'm like, I've aged out of all the opportunities because I'm basically 35. And I'm looking at the stuff that she posts, and more often than not, there is no age limit, or the age limit is like 65 or 72. Like, they just put an arbitrary number on it. But so much is available to many people for joy, for income, and for opportunity that, it's there. Like you're saying, like, this is the time where digitally we can do so much because it's here. It's there. For the
That's right. Yeah, I'm so glad to be here at this time. I'm so glad. Yeah,
it's to be
alive. For real. Like, there's so many opportunities out there, and there are teacher grants for travel. There are artist grants for travel specifically, but then there are just other people who will sponsor you to go on, to take time off.
Right.
Look, you just have to know that it's out there and look. So you're right. Gabby Pax Light is a great resource for people who are looking for those opportunities.
Yes, for funded travel. Basically, she posts ways for you to get money to travel. Like, a company will pay you to travel and maybe write a piece, or to, like, there's absolutely work involved in it. Like, you have to write an essay, do applications and stuff, but it'll be like a $17 application fee, and they're paying for you to go to Iceland for a week. And, you just do whatever the program is, or some type of exchange for a skill or something that you already do. You're just going to be providing for them, similar to what you were saying. It's a work trade, or you trade off. Like, they're paying for your travel, your stay. You often get vouchers for food and all that other kind of jazz, just to do something that you do anyway, But all the great stuff about the traveling and the opportunities, what are some things that you found along the way have kind of like, I don't like this about
Um, so it does get lonely, and there are times when I'm like, I wish I had some company. I've had my mom come and join me down in Mexico for a few days or weeks. Yeah, a couple weeks. I had my cousin come and join me in Paris one time. So, and then you're always meeting new people, but you're also always saying goodbye to new people. So you meet people on the road. It's really easy. That's something that a lot of people are afraid of. Either they're afraid of being alone the whole time, or they're afraid of like, trying to meet people and they won't make any friends. Like it's guaranteed. As soon as you walk out the door, you'll make friends. But you're always having to say goodbye. Everybody's, coming and going all the time. So that's different. That's a different type of experience. Because on my last job, I think I had been there for 5 years and I was the newest person. Like people had been there for 20 and 30 years. So I'm going from that kind of experience to like every 4 days. I've got new friends. We're hanging out for a few days. We're going out. We're having drinks, and then I'm never going to see them again. Maybe on Instagram. So that that's a big change.
Has any part of staying in other people's homes been scary for you? Because I know that was one of the things that my dad was very hesitant about when I was telling him, oh yeah, I'm just going to stay at an Airbnb. Oh, so you're staying in someone's house? And I'm just, yeah. He's like, what do you mean you're staying in somebody's house? Do you know whose house this is? And I'm like, bro, like it's fine. Other people have stayed. I read reviews. In terms of house sitting, do they have those same, I guess you could say protections, or do you get to choose which houses?
So I house sit through a service called Trusted House Sitters. And yes, they have reviews. They have the same, reviews that you would find if you're looking up, an Airbnb or whatever. So you know what you're getting. You don't have to apply for a house sit if it doesn't fit all of your criteria. So if,
Criteria.
Yeah. So like I have criteria. I need it to be in a city I'm interested in going to. I need it to be good weather, because I do spring and summer only, boycott winter. I don't do certain, like sometimes you'll find a house sit and they'll be like, it's 6 months, but you're in charge of cutting the grass. No, thank you. I don't do that.
The labor I'll pass on.
For a free house sit, when I'm just getting free room and board, I have an animal quota. Usually it's like 2 or 3 pets. If it's like 2 cats, no problem. You don't have to pay me. Cats are easy. If it's more than that, then I feel like they should pay, and they, so I don't do those. Or if I do them off the site, because on site you cannot get paid on Trusted House Sitters, but you can get paid if you're like doing a word of mouth house sit. So I have criteria that I, work into, is it during, like I had a great house sit lined up for Essence Festival in New Orleans this year. Yeah. So I was looking, but it's not going to happen.
Bro, I got like goosebumps because me and my best friend was thinking about going, and I'm like, girl, I don't got Essence Fest money. Like the flights are mad bread just to get out there during that time. And then where we staying?
Yeah. If I find something I want to go to, I get a house sit. I don't pay for accommodation. I can't stress that enough. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I don't pay for accommodation. I wanted to go to this thing in LA, and I was already in San Francisco. So it was easy to get to LA, but I didn't want to pay. And so I took a house sit, and, so anyway, that's how it works. Yeah. I don't pay for a place to stay. I don't believe in it. I'm not doing that.
Well, like once it just doesn't make sense to. Now, do people ever, like, I don't want to say, is recruit the right word? Do people recruit you to like house sit for them?
Yeah, like word of mouth. I get most of my bookings now are word of mouth. So I started with Trusted House Sitters. And those, like I said, are unpaid. I need to stress that because they watch videos and stuff that I'm on and they always comment, so, but then anything that I book after that, unpaid. I mean, any paid and through word of mouth. So, what did you ask me?
If you, what did I ask?
My phone at the same time that you asked something popped up, and now I just completely lost it, but I'm pretty sure I hope I answered your question. Word of mouth. Yeah. So I book through different ways. There are people who reach out to me
for house sitting.
Yeah. People reach out to me sometimes, and sometimes I get on their Facebook groups of like expats and retirees. Most of my clients are just retirees who have moved out of the country somewhere else. So you can even just get on a group of expats and be like, hey, I'm a house sitter. And boom, somebody will need you, because I'm a pet sitter. So I like taking care of pets. Some house sitters don't take care of pets at all.
Right.
I like pets, so they like me, people like me.
Oh,
So yeah, that it's like once you get started, once you get some reviews, once you get some people who can vouch for you and
right.
say, yes, we love her. I have, then the ball is rolling. I have repeat customers that I go to every year for the same month. And then they usually are like, well, since you're going to be here all June, let me hook you up with my friend for July,
Right.
Yeah, I really like house sitting in Mexico, like I said. So I like going to a specific area and getting house sits. It's easier than going back and forth and all over the place.
Did the
But
whole
you can do it.
line it up.
You can do it however you want. And like I said, there are people who house sit in their own city.
Right.
Just they don't want to travel, but they don't want to pay those crazy prices in the New York City area
Mm-hmm.
and San Francisco area and LA, Southern California as well. You could house sit full time without having your own place. It's that lucrative. Like there are that many people who need you. And then if you have a day or two in between, just book an Airbnb in between or stay with somebody you could house sit full time right in those areas. You can also say it again. I'm sorry.
And these are paid house sits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, do
Or
you have to stay in the home like technically full time? Because I'm trying to see like, damn, how far are you? I'll pay you to go water your plant. You know what I mean? Like I'll leave my house, go water your plants, and if you got a pet, play with my pet, whatever. Like everybody have a good time. Like,
there are people who do drop-in visits only.
mm-hmm.
And yes, people pay you for drop-in visits. I've done those in San Francisco. When I house sat in San Francisco, I also did drop-in visits for another lady. So yes, you can do just drop-in visits. You can do something kind of in between where it's pretty, because you're the boss of you and they need somebody to help them. It can be very flexible, So yes, you can do drop-in visits. You can stay there the whole time. Sometimes people have cats and they're just like, just come and feed my cat once a day. I'll pay you X dollars to just feed my cat once a day.
Money on the table. There are so many ways to like just profit. I don't want to just say profit because it's also a service. You know what I mean? Like
right.
I know also it's like you were saying, retirees, a lot of seniors go visit their kids in other states and out of town and stuff. And it's not like they, are leaving and never coming back. You're just checking on the plants, making sure that and then also depending on, like the neighborhood, you want to turn on the kitchen light, make it look like somebody is home. You know what I mean? Like collect the mail, little things that I know, like I do the same thing for grandparents. When, they're out of town, it's like, all right, well, I'll hop in. I'm here every other day. I'll collect your mail. I'll check your car, make sure, start it up, drive around the block, make sure, it doesn't sit too long. It's just, you're also helping people. So I feel like, that's a little intrinsic little token you could drop in your little coin purse if you want. So
there's nothing wrong with getting paid. There's nothing wrong with getting paid to provide a service. Yeah, retirees are great clients because they generally travel for longer periods of time. I like long house sits. I don't like to do like 4 days here, 3 days there, if I can help it. But yeah, they travel for long periods of time. A lot of retirees are house sitters themselves. So sometimes I have clients that I house sit for them while they go house sit for someone else, someplace more exotic. Yeah. So like,
who wants to be in New York? Winter and some people like fall.
Some do.
I mean, winter, nobody wants to be here. That'd be that perfect time to be in Mexico without having to sell your house, lease your house, and change the status of your own property. You don't have to necessarily Airbnb it, and then you can test it out. Like do it for a month, see if you like somebody. And what I also like is there are reviews. It's not like it's a stranger, but it's not like an absolute stranger that's just coming into your home and they have no reason not to, take your stuff and run away kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like they know who you are. They know where to find you, and they're a little bit more, I guess, safety or assurances go behind the people.
Yeah, people who get house sitters are a different type of person. They probably have house sat themselves more more than
Couch
likely.
surfing people, the people that, you know, offer like
Mhm.
couch surfing have generally been a little bit nomadic themselves. They've done the whole backpacking and stayed on other people's couches and say, I've had a great experience and I'm willing to have this same type of person come cohabitate or share my space with me.
Exactly, exactly. That's something that I learned from long-term travel. We tend to think of others, strangers as dangerous. They're a potential danger to us, but most likely they're like us.
Yeah.
You know, Same thing with house sitting. Your house sitting clients are probably people like you. They want to take a vacation and they don't want to leave their house empty. Same thing, they're us.
Again, signs. Like it's just that if you don't know that it's an available option, or if you don't know that it's a thing or something that happens, then why would you even, you know what I mean? Why would you know? Why would you consider
No.
it's
Yeah,
happening here?
we're
So,
spreading the word.
what other experiences do you find that are different in being? Because one of the things that I like to, I'm gonna say discuss, but I feel like the main
Mhm.
purpose of travel and shit has kind of, it's not about the destination. It's about the experience. You know what I mean? Travel is so much more than vacation. And I definitely didn't consider that until I was able, and now mind you, I travel in vacations because I can only take a week at a time off.
Right.
So I want to preface that that theory in, I don't travel for 3 weeks at a time. I absolutely can only do 1 week at a time. However, the more I started traveling, the more I realized I wasn't, like, I hate saying I'm going on vacation. It's just like I'm leaving, I'm going away. It's not, I personally am an Airbnb traveler. I enjoy being as culturally immersed as I can possibly be. I don't need to stay in resorts. I
Mhm.
know that one hack that I will say is, if you find that you're interested in a lot of those types of amenities, or you just feel safer depending on what destination or location you're in, you can absolutely get an Airbnb near a resort. This way you can have some of those amenities at your disposal. If you want to, I don't like pools, they kind of skeeve me out. But if I want to go to a pool, or if I want to be near a pool, you get an Airbnb that's, a couple blocks from a hotel, or some hotels will offer you a pass or something that you can pay for, that you can access, not hotels per se, but a resort where they
Yeah.
have other things that you can do in the area. But
Mhm.
how have you seen that your experiences have differed, or your experience of yourself has differed once you stepped out of vacationing and into traveling?
Like I said, I've just been more open to new things and new people, stuff that, normally I would be like, oh, I don't do that. Oh, it turns out maybe I do that. You get to just, I just get to try out new things and, see them. There's no pressure, there's no strain. So I've definitely learned that like I said, I like talking to strangers. That's a whole new thing for me. I've learned that I like museums, I don't necessarily feel like obligated to see the stuff that people say that I should see.
Mhm,
Yeah, so it just, I get to, flow,
mhm.
flow a lot better. The instead of
Doesn't have to be
being
a
on a
structure.
strict schedule. Right, structure. Yeah, I'm more about flow than structure.
Mhm.
And that's something that I've learned just through travel.
So, what other kind of services do you offer? I know you have the sabbatical school. You have a lot of offerings on your website. Like, what kind of services do you offer to help people get out of the structure and go with the flow?
I do. I have my website is vicarious.com. I have a 5-day challenge called the Sabbatical Money 5-Day Challenge. It's a way for people to learn about the things that we've talked about today, about work exchanges, about house sitting, about some other stuff, about ways to get get out the door, take your sabbatical, even if you don't have the cash saved up to do it. So I host that 5-day challenge. I also help people get their first house sit booked. So once you've decided, yes, I'm ready to start house sitting, the fear, the nervousness starts bubbling up, like, okay, I want to do it, but how do I get the first house sit booked? So I
And
also well,
without having an, a month, you can do a house sit with having a week off, right?
You can do yes, you can do a house sit for a weekend.
Oh,
If yeah, I've done one night house sits where I was, in town already, and they're like, okay, I need somebody for one night. Cool, I'll do this for one night. As long or as short as people are traveling, that's how long they need a house sitter for, especially with pets. Especially with pets.
mhm, mhm.
I don't know that anybody would have a one night house sitter if they didn't have pets, but
Okay.
you know. But yeah, so I help people get their first house sit booked once they decide that they want to start house sitting. And again, you don't, like you said, you don't need to be traveling for long periods of time. You can house sit for a weekend or a week. Anytime that you want to go someplace new and you don't want to pay for a place to stay, you can look for a house sit in that place. So I do that too through House Sitter School. And you can find all of that on my website, on vicarious.com.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for sitting with me, and also for just the conversation about leaving joy on the table. That was like, I really wish, I just want happier people. I
Yeah,
feel like happier people, it makes for a happier world. It's a lot of just unhappiness right now for obvious reasons. And I think that during this time as a traveler, it's, some of us have taken the route of, oh my God, when am I leaving again? And oh, I can't wait to get out. But now is also a really good time to sit still and look at different modes of travel, different, not just like different destinations, but because again, travel isn't just about where you show up. There are different ways to travel. There are different tones to have to your travel. And I feel that a lot of us that are grounded, if you will, there's no problem with sitting and looking at your other options of travel while you're home.
that's
So
right.
I would offer a lot of travelers this time that you're not going anywhere, look at different ways of travel, not just in terms, like, you don't have to pay for your lodging, bro. Like, get paid to go someplace else. Now is the time to look into it. Invest in creating a profile for that. Look at different skills that you can market on when you're able to go travel. So as opposed to just sitting and looking at the, oh, I can't go anywhere. Oh my God, I'm stuck. Oh, it sucks. Look at how you're going to capitalize on your next trip, or look at how you're able to help somebody while you're going on your next trip. This is a time for rest, because if anything like me, you do the most when you do travel. So sit down, like,
Yeah.
take a breath if you have that luxury. A lot of people don't have the luxury to take a breath during this time. A lot of people are probably working harder than they were working when they were actually going into work. So, just take a little bit of assessment of what your personal dilemma or your personal opportunity is at this time. You can grow from it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're building a business and creating all these profiles and starting new things. Your growth could be in just saying, hey, so I don't have to pay for a commute, or I don't have to, pack my lunch every day. Whatever your growth is, just take it as an opportunity to rest, and that can be your growth. Take it as a time to build. That could be your growth. It's your own personal journey, as the same as when you're traveling or when you're home. Your journey is your journey, whether you're in one spot or going someplace else. But I just love being able to offer these new tools to put in your toolbox, whether or not you are a traveler, or even if you want to say, hey, I can go visit, because not all travel is vacation either. You could decide that you want to go visit family someplace else for good reasons, bad reasons, reasons in between, and have someone come in and house sit for you. No, like, I know that if I were to leave here, I can have my parents watch my dog for me. But if I go someplace with my parents, if I can't bring the dog, it's an issue. But somebody to come outside of just having a dog walker come in, water my plants for me, make sure a light comes on so it doesn't look like, nobody has been here for the past 2-3 weeks. You know what I mean? So there are a lot of different ways to look at it. And I thank you so much for bringing that into the line of vision for a lot of people, because until I saw you online, house sitting was not even a thing. And I don't want to say thank you for being a Black woman doing it, but it just it just feels so much more accessible coming from someone who looks like me. I know that for me, the messenger absolutely matters. I can try as I may to, join this group or this group here and on this Facebook. And it's just like, but I don't think that we have any, I know I personally have a hard time with looking or receiving a message from people that I don't resonate with. And I think that so many people can benefit from what it is that you've experienced and what it is you have to share. So I would absolutely suggest that you check out Stephanie at Vicarious. It's, what is it? VAYCARIOUS?
Yes, that's it. When I named it, it was about vacationing vicariously through me, but I don't want you to do that anymore. I want you to go for yourself. But yeah, it's called vicarious.com. And I have a YouTube channel as well. So if you just put Stephanie Perry in YouTube search, my videos about house sitting and about travel will come up.
And you have Instagram, Twitter, where else can people find you?
All of those, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I'm at Vicarious.
All right. Stephanie, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate your expertise and I appreciate your energy here with me today. Thank you.
Thank you. It was so much fun. And you too, Binksy.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate it. And I'll absolutely have links to Stephanie's social media and to her website in the episode description. So scoot over down there and learn something new. So thanks guys for listening. I appreciate it. Instagram _DCarry. Guys, it's the same stuff. If you're new to travel and shit, I guess, I'm acting like I don't have new people listening to the podcast. Let me chill. So you can find me on the Instagrams at _DCARRIE. Welcome if you're new to the channel, to the podcast, and appreciate y'all motherfuckers for following me the long way. All right, guys. See you next week and such. Bye.